This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the president and CEO of a new story to Resource Stock Digest, Zeus Mining, Mr. Dean Besserer. Dean, how are you today, sir?
I am excellent. Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, let's get right to it. I mentioned that this is a new story to our audience. It's an interesting story for many reasons. The first one and the most obvious one to me is that, both copper and the precious metals appear to be entering a bull market that I think is going to be one for the books. I think it's going to be really important in this cycle to find companies that are in good jurisdictions because, as I don't have to tell you, the world is definitely changing at a pretty accelerated pace. And I think that's going to be a key attribute here for companies moving forward. So that brings me to Zeus Mining. And I just wanted to have you on to kind of help tell the story and introduce it to our audience. Can you give us a brief overview of the company, and then we can dig into some of the assets and the approach here moving forward?
Yeah, it's really a simple story. I have a group of friends that we find properties in good jurisdictions and stake them. Sometimes we vend them. Sometimes we put them into a company on our own. And this one, we had in 2021, we'd staked three what we called really tier one silver assets in Idaho, which is a tier one district, obviously a great jurisdiction to work in. And one of them was, which is now, of course, that we'll call our flagship property, is called our Cuddy Mountain property, and it's adjacent to the Hercules silver porphyry copper discovery, the Leviathan porphyry copper discovery.
Tell
So that,
me.
that's the 1,000-foot level. Everybody in that, and people. Sorry, I cut you off there, but people want to know why is that our flagship property? Well, I think people still don't really understand the magnitude of what's happened in Idaho. There's probably 20,000 new claims staked over 25 miles in that trend alone. Forefronted by obviously by the discovery from Hercules, but also Barrick's made their presence, which people will see in the coming weeks, very, very, very significant there. They've basically thrown all their cards in there and said, look, this is a new belt, porphyry copper belt that was not previously known or discovered. And, their presidents come out and says they want to have a foothold on copper going forward because they think, for the reasons you spoke of, the metal demands are going to be one for the books. And so here we are.
It's funny. You answered the question I was going to ask. I wanted to touch on the fact that, Hercules Silver has really injected a lot of life into this region, and then the staking has been at a pretty robust pace, and that's me putting it lightly. Barrick injected 23 million in equity, and it sounds like there's more to come on that front. How are you approaching the portfolio of properties? You touched on the flagship. Tell me about the work that's going into it, because it's one thing to be able to stake a discovery or stake near a discovery that is speaking for itself slowly but surely, but it's another thing to actually make a discovery yourself, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we're, I'm a geologist I've worked in over 50 countries around the world for majors and juniors. I own a consulting firm. So, I've seen a lot of properties, and we're a boots on the ground kind of group. We're starting to get in there in the next 2 weeks. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to throw the book at it, just like Hercules did. Soil sampling, ground geophysics, 3D IP survey, and that's all. The minute we got this property into Zeus, I went to the 3D IP company and I put them under contract because I know there's going to be a long list of people that really want that survey, and there's only a few groups that do it. So we were first in line, and we're in about 10 days. Those guys will be going hard. And what happened with Hercules is, they and good on them to test a geological concept of below the rhyolites and the silver zones that there could be a blind porphyry. And Chris, he drilled a deep hole into an IP anomaly, and lo and behold, he hit porphyry copper, and they didn't even drill out of it. And then what they learned subsequent to that, after Barrick came in, reinterpretation of everything and expanding their IP survey, is that their trend is getting hotter to the northeast. Well, who's to the northeast boundary of them? Zeus. So that's good. And they say that they didn't even drill their best targets last year. So I think there's a lot to come from there in the near future.
You mentioned your background, and I want to touch on that a bit more, and I want to touch on the team and the technical expertise there, because anytime you get, a new belt that hasn't previously been recognized, and you get the likes of Barrick willing to commit, not just financial capital, but the intellectual capital that Barrick seems to be committing to the region, there's typically a really fundamental reason for that. Can you speak to that angle?
Well, sure. I mean, I guess these guys, maybe not so much. Obviously, the big companies have access to these world-renowned geo superstars, and they really want to help the company. But it's really the first time that Barrick's ever gone and put a massive amount of money as an equity financing into a company, and because of that, as part of the deal, they want to have their expertise on site full time to help that process, because they believe that they've seen more, they've worked on mines, they have a team that would know more than a typical geologist, and that's what's really cool. And I think our experience all over the world is obviously world class, but that being said, when we get down the road and we need interpretation, we're also going to look to some of those high level experts to help us out and make sure that we're, you want to drill your holes in the right place. And we don't often get many chances at these things, but we want to make sure that we're drilling our priority number one targets right off the bat.
I couldn't agree with you more. What comes next as far as identifying and really refining the target so that you do drill, the best targets right off the bat?
Yeah, it's really the 3D IP is really the key to start off with, and then that in conjunction with the mapping and the soil sampling is really gonna vector us in and where we want to drill, and make sure that we're permitting, to drill those, like I said, tier one, our best priority targets right off the bat. We're just throwing the book at it.
No, I love that. I love that. And I'm looking forward to having you back on when you get the results for that. I do want to contrast, the upside here with Hercules, because Hercules obviously has had phenomenal success, and its market cap reflects that. Where is the Zeus market cap? Ballpark it for me if you could, Dean.
Yeah, we're right at about 25 million. And we really just got going. We haven't had any news flow come. Like I said, we're going to be a few weeks here. We're going to be boots on the ground. We're going to be sampling. We're going to have rock samples. We're going to have soil samples. We're going to have the IP results. We're going to have ground geophysics. We're going to have lots of things coming, and that's not even discussing our other properties, which we also think are great porphyry, have great porphyry potential as well. So, lots to come, and I'll be happy to update you as we go.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for your time today. And again, I think your timing is absolutely excellent on both the silver and the copper side of, the exploration proposition here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what Mother Nature left behind. And again, just really looking forward to the results. Thanks so much, Dean.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Chat again soon. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.